Okay, so it's December 30th, and it's not the first time I've tried attempting to making something like this, but I'm gonna come out and say it anyways, just because it's important, and I feel like a lot of people are in the same boat. And with a clearer headspace right now, this is a good time for me to kind of talk about this and help people understand what's happening. So maybe as part of a hint, it's a beer I'm having while we chat between jobs. And if you can already guess by that hint, I was unfortunately laid off. So it happened about a month ago. Um, it was with a company I was with for the past 3.5 years, working with them as an accountant. Um, yeah, just, you know, in my role, saw some writing on the wall, knew that the company had some financial challenges ahead of it, and unfortunately, beyond decisions of even my own boss, higher ups above him, they made a decision to effectively devise a list. I was on the list, and the rest is history. Severance letter signed a couple of weeks ago, um, and it's a chapter that's in the past. So, opportunity to move on and move forward. So, why am I bringing this up? I'm bringing it up because I know that I am not alone, that there are many people everywhere that are struggling through a layoff that they had themselves, or it is their partner, or it is someone close to them that has also been laid off, or a member of their own family. I'd be hard pressed to find somebody in today's day and age who you don't know has been laid off. Now, how did it feel? So I'm mid 30s. Birthday was recent, and I can tell you the way I spent my birthday was not how I envisioned it for, kind of where things happen. I was fully expecting to work on my birthday, like many people do. Um, so how do I feel? I mean, if you're going through a layoff right now, or you've recently been through one, you're probably feeling betrayed, frustrated, confused, lost. I know I went through the whole gambit of emotions. Um, it's funny. Well, I shouldn't say funny. Funny is the inappropriate word. It's interesting, but there's kind of the five stages of acceptance or grief. This is certainly one of those. Um, Going through a job loss, especially with a job that you liked, with a team of people that you worked really well with, that they also enjoyed working with you. It 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 hurts everybody when situations like this happens. And I can tell you just straight up, as somebody who was an accountant of the organization at a relatively high advisory level, that, you know, I was the guy looking at spreadsheets of other departments saying, hey, we need to make some cuts here because, that department is underutilized, or it's overpaid, or there's not enough work. Believe me, I've been there, and it's tongue in cheek that I'm now a recipient of that. And I'm not necessarily faulting the business. Sometimes when the ship's taking on water, you got to dump people off the boat. I get it. You just never think it's going to be you. And I didn't think it was going to be me either. Why would you get rid of the finance guy? But that's neither here nor there. The thing is that it happened. It's a done deal. It's over. But what I want to do for the purposes of this discussion, or this, you know, share, is help anyone who's going through this, the emotions that I felt and how I was able to manage through it, so that maybe you can take some inspiration out of this to help move your life and progress forward. So if you are going through a layoff, or heck, if you even know someone who got laid off themselves, like, please feel free if there's anything about what I'm about to discuss here that resonated with you. Give them your ear, your support, or you yourself take the time to, you know, pull away whatever you get out of this to maybe help you manage through what comes next. So, first thing out of the gate, like if you have this happen, just stop everything you're doing and process it. Um, and everyone's going to process it in their own ways. For me, very first thing I did was call my parents, who I was fortunate enough to have within an hour's driving distance of where I am, and we went over to their house the Monday morning of when it happened, and we literally discussed the entire day. And I was a wreck, like straight up. First layoff ever. It sucked. Um, it sucked. So I went over to them, and mom and dad were super supportive. Had a call with my brother shortly after, super supportive. So this moves into kind of to the immediate theme of the sooner you talk about it, the sooner you're going to be able to get over it. And if friends or family are reaching out, or even coworkers are reaching out and say, "Hey man, like, do you need a shoulder to cry on, to rant on?" Do take up the offer. Um, I know with myself, it was frustrating at the time, and they had information that they, if it was a coworker, wanted to share. Now, tread carefully, if especially if you're going through, maybe an ongoing severance discussion or anything of that sort. You don't want to necessarily put yourself or your coworkers in hot water. But, if anyone is reaching out to support you in any way, even if it's just to listen, do seriously entertain taking up that offer. I am immeasurably grateful myself on all the people that reached out and helped support me through my mom, my dad, my brother, former coworkers, who are now friends as well in many ways because of this, um, and even immediate close friends, people who've been by my side the entire time. Um, you know, I'm immeasurably grateful for those people and their wisdom that they were able to pass as I navigated what was rather a very difficult time earlier in this month. So, with that in mind, as you're navigating through it, make sure that you actually go and reflect on what happened and know that this is an iterative thing. You don't just reflect on it once and you're done. It's not a one and done. You're going to go through these emotions constantly. It's going to go up, it's going to go down, it's going to go up, it's going to go down. You're going to have your good days, you're going to have your bad days. And just want you to know that that's okay. And actually it's going to be okay, because as I even say this right now, I apologize if you can hear the audio. There are sirens outside my building right now, and looking over the balcony earlier this evening, there was several police cars and fire trucks out there, because they were tending to what I can only imagine was some form of a really terrible accident, because it is diverting traffic in this downtown core that I'm in. So I know that sounded like a little bit of a tangent there, but going back to my words that it's going to be okay, I mean that in the most sincere way, because right now, even outside my window, there's someone less okay than us, because I have the luxury of giving you this story and insight. You have the luxury of time and security to be able to listen to it. So, in a weird way, one of the benefits of this process, at least insofar as my own experience, is just a deep gratitude that I've developed for even the smallest of things. The safety and the shelter that comes with it, and not being outside, for example, and being helped by fire and police. So do seriously take time, reflect on what happened, write it down, then burn it if you have to. Do whatever it is you got to do, and don't be afraid to iterate as many times over and over. until you get the solace that you need. And when you need to iterate again, and it could be a month, it could be a week, it could be a year from now, do it again and do it as many times as you need to. So how is another way that I would suggest you manage through this? And I'll tell you what worked for me was socialize. If you have pre-committed plans, it honor those plans. I mean, I know with mine situation specifically, I got laid off December 1st, right before the holidays, which was a terrible time, which I know many people also had happen to them. And this is a time that people get together, generally speaking, if you're fortunate enough to have people in your life. And going out and socializing is a good thing because the last place you need to be right now is alone, isolated, and with your thoughts if you still are going through the reflective phase. Again, remember, reflection is iterative. You're going to come back to it again and again, but life doesn't stop. You still need to go to the grocery store. You still need to shower and shave. You still need to keep your place clean. You still need to talk to your friends and your family. Life still does go on. Do not negate the importance of socialization. I mean, it's in our DNA, right? Historically, if someone falls on hard times, you see this in smaller communities all the time, that community will rally around that person. Find your tribe, rally around, and have them help rally around you. And then you do the same when your time comes to help somebody else out if you haven't had the privilege to do so already. So the other thing is exercise. And that exercise can be as simple as going for a walk, something that I did as a remote worker every single day, before and after work, to make sure that I commuted to and from. Don't stop movement. Movement is good for the body, it's good for the soul, it's good for the mind. And if you can, I would even entertain even so far as, if you're going to go do any form of movement like a walk, don't carry your earbuds with you to listen to podcasts or music. Let your thoughts and your mind wander. It's okay. It's scary. It's necessary, but again, it's going to be okay, and it's going to give your mind an opportunity to breathe again. And then I would say the other thing too is keep your plans moving forward. Like I'll share a personal one right now. So, like I mentioned it kind of earlier in this call, I'm an accountant by trade. I'm a professional accountant. And while I was employed, I enrolled for another professional designation, of which I'm writing the first of a series of exams coming up in February. Now, I haven't made the full decision as to whether or not I'm actually going to go back into the industry at this time. There's still a lot that I'm processing. That being said, because I have this time commitment of something that I've already invested into, I'm I'm choosing to keep that exam date on the books. And I'm still studying for it today because A, there's still things to learn. There's always things to learn. And B, again, to the point of life goes on, it's important to have a degree of structure. And also, it allows for a degree of optionality. And at the same time, it also returns some degree of familiarity under a world that was ripped away. So I would ask you, if you have current plans on the books, please keep them. Don't dishonor yourself or dishonor your commitments or dishonor the people around you. You will feel better even if you go and say fail the exam. At least you stuck to the commitment, and psychologically that will do wonders for you. So I would encourage you, please keep your plans and keep them moving forward. So, closing thoughts on this is, if I had to wrap up an order of operations for you, first off, whenever this happens, take the time to process everything and then very quickly go and assess what your needs are. So, food, shelter, core tenants, you got to have those. Food, shelter, security, I mean, I know it's really tough for people when the financial hose gets cut off and cut off and removed from them. It sucks. I know that's where my mind immediately went. Now, do make sure that those needs are taken care of. It's really important. I'm gonna add sleep there. Make sure that you add and take care of your sleep as well too. And if you had to pick between sleep and exercise, I would ask you to prioritize your sleep, because your sleep dictates so much of your general well-being and getting you what I'll call back to normal, whatever that is. Um, and if you don't need to get into a new job because of favorable cash flow, be it a severance payout, good financial habits that are leading up to whatever event happened, or if you have outside support, don't feel a need to necessarily rush into anything. Now that being said, don't mooch. Don't mooch. Continue to be a contributor, and you can contribute in numerous ways. You can volunteer for your community. You can help friends and family out with some of their stuff. Help ease the burden off of them. But if you're gonna, if you don't necessarily just rush back into a job because you want a job and feel that you need to maintain the lifestyle. Do seriously assess what you want your life to look like, and maybe that involves lowering your burn rate. I know with myself, I mentioned mid 30s, and no wife, no kids, no girlfriend or anything of that sort right now, and I have the flexibility, fortunately, to sever the lease of the department and move back in with my parents, albeit temporarily, because we have another project that we're going to be working on later this year. But do seriously lower your burn rate. Like if there's a discretionary spend that you don't need and you've kind of had it, like do a serious financial audit of, oh, why was I subscribing to that thing? You'd be surprised. A lot of the times you would buy stuff because you just had cash flow coming in and you weren't thinking. I just went through my credit card statement for the past year. Trust me. I know there's always things to cut and you can find them. Um, just also the next thing I would say, if you have to like think about what's coming forward for you, is think about how you want your life to look. Like really think about it, especially if there is some breathing room to be able to take that time. Design your life, but my encouragement to you would be to design your life one step at a time. And sometimes a really great way to do that is to actually get a project or direction that you want to work towards. Maybe you've always wanted to learn an instrument. Maybe you've always wanted to volunteer. Maybe you've always wanted to work on your physical, an aspect of your physique. Maybe you've wanted to get out and socialize more, and you don't necessarily need to do money to spend that. You can go socialize by being out in public, um, volunteering, getting even what, maybe if you're coming from the professional world like me, maybe you could just go get a retail job for a little while just so that you can kind of keep some social skills sharp. Get a project, get something on the books. I can tell you right now, the project that I will be working on for the next foreseeable while is there is some family land out in a different part of Canada here that my dad, who is retired, and I will be working on that land together, and we are going to be building a small cabin. The accountant is about to swing a hammer, which is going to be interesting. Maybe I might put up a video about that just for the sheer entertainment factor, if nothing else. So, whatever you're going to do, ask yourself what you want your life to look like, and just ask and answer those questions and design around those questions one step at a time. And before you know it, you're going to be moving yourself in a direction that just feels good and natural. And if you're not afraid to consider it, don't be afraid to break away from the rat race, especially if you can afford it. and I say that tongue in cheek, but in order to be able to break away from the rat race, we, you and me, need to be willing and able to do things radically different than what society would otherwise expect of us. So if you can consider it, consider it. And then the last thing I would say is if nothing else, do not fear doing nothing. There's a really great quote actually that I came across. Actually, two great quotes I'm going to share. So, one is from Winnie the Pooh. If you're in Canada, you would have grown up with this. I'm not sure if our American friends or anyone in Europe or wherever you are in the world, not sure how popular Winnie the Pooh is, but it was a Canadian created cartoon, and there's a really great quote that Winnie the Pooh, the teddy bear, says to his owner Christopher Robin, and he says, "Doing nothing often leads to the greatness of doing something." And what he meant by that is effectively give yourself the time to breathe, because it's that proverbial shower thought that sometimes when you just give your mind the space for something to allow itself, it will happen. So don't be afraid to do nothing. And then the final thing I would also leave for a quote is, and I heard this one recently just because with this potential cabin that we're building, there's a homesteader that I came across on YouTube. His handle is actually called Frugal Off Grid. Not sponsored or anything. Thought it was super cool. Go check him out. Really captivating story. But he said at the end of one of his videos, and this was the thing that really resonated with me, was that he stated, "I may not be rich, but at least I'm free." And this is coming from a gentleman who literally started this high desert homestead in the American Southwest. And I was just so captivated by what his story was and his outlook given his background that he shares on his channel. I encourage you to go check that out. Um, it really sets things into perspective. And I think that if we can take on that wisdom and dare ourselves to be unafraid to live differently, I think there's some really amazing things that we can look back on a year from now. And hey, you know what? Maybe there'll be an update on the next year and how that went. And if you're in the same boat right now, maybe you can also have an opportunity to reflect on your year too. Until then, maybe we'll see each other again. Maybe we won't, but I wish you the best of luck and I'm rooting for you.